"The Lord's hand has turned against me." Naomi's cry pierces the heart, echoing through the ages. This statement, raw and full of anguish, reveals a woman grappling with unimaginable loss, a loss that has left her soul shattered. Famine had driven her from Bethlehem, her home, to Moab, a foreign land, a land where she hoped to find solace and sustenance. There, tragedy struck. Her husband Elimelech died, leaving Naomi alone with her two sons. The weight of her grief was immense. They were her comfort, her hope, the last remnants of her past life. They married Moabite women, Ruth and Orpah, providing a glimmer of normalcy in a dislocated life. For a moment it seemed like happiness was within reach, but fate, it seemed, was not finished with Naomi. The dark clouds of misfortune loomed large. Tragedy struck again, claiming both her sons. The pain was unbearable, a wound that would never heal, and she was utterly alone, a widow in a foreign land, stripped of everything she held dear. Her heart was heavy with sorrow. Naomi's declaration of God's hand against her reflects her despair, a despair that consumed her every waking moment. She saw herself as cursed, forgotten, abandoned by the very God she had always trusted. Her journey had become a bitter exile, each loss amplifying her feelings of abandonment. The barren fields mirrored her desolate heart. This was no ordinary grief, it was a deep, soul-crushing pain that questioned the very core of her faith. Naomi's story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming adversity. The journey from Bethlehem to Moab was born out of necessity, a desperate attempt to escape the clutches of famine. Famine gripped the land, leaving Elimelech with an impossible choice: stay and starve, or leave in search of sustenance. The land that once provided for them had turned hostile, barren, and unforgiving. Moab, though foreign, offered a chance at survival. It was a land of hope amidst despair, a place where they could start anew. Little did they know, this journey would mark the beginning of their undoing. The path ahead was fraught with unforeseen challenges and heart-wrenching losses. The loss of Elimelech was a devastating blow. He was the family's anchor, the one who held them together through thick and thin. He was Naomi's husband, her protector, her partner in facing life's challenges. Together, they had weathered many storms, but this was a tempest she had to face alone. His death left a void, a constant reminder of what was gone. The emptiness was palpable, a silent echo of the life they once shared. She had her sons, Marlon and Chilion, to cling to. They were her reason to keep going, her source of strength in the face of overwhelming grief. They were her solace, a testament to the love she and Elimelech shared. In their eyes she saw the future, a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. The deaths of Mahlon and Chilion shattered Naomi's world completely. It was a loss that defied comprehension, a cruelty that seemed unbearable. The weight of her grief was crushing, an unrelenting sorrow that consumed her every waking moment. These were her children, her legacy, her future. They were the embodiment of her hopes and dreams, the continuation of her and Elimelech's love. With them gone, she saw only emptiness stretching before her. The future she had envisioned was now a desolate wasteland, devoid of joy and purpose. The pain of their absence was a wound that refused to heal, a constant ache in her heart. It was a reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring strength of a mother's love, even in the face of unimaginable loss. Ruth and Orpah, Moabite women, entered Naomi's life as her sons' wives. These women, with their distinct customs and traditions, brought a new dynamic into Naomi's household. They were not just daughters-in-law, they were symbols of a different world, a world that Naomi had to navigate with caution and curiosity. Their foreignness, their different gods and customs, would have been a source of concern for any Israelite mother-in-law. Naomi, however, was not just any mother-in-law. She was a woman who had faced the harshest blows of life, and her perspective on these differences was likely more nuanced, shaped by her own experiences of loss and survival. Yet Naomi was a woman stripped bare by grief, her energy depleted by loss. The deaths of her husband and sons had left her in a state of profound sorrow, a sorrow that overshadowed any concerns she might have had about cultural differences. Her heartache was a constant companion, a shadow that followed her every move. She likely clung to them as a lifeline, a reminder of her sons. In Ruth and Orpah, Naomi found a memory of the family she had lost. Their presence was a fragile thread connecting her to happier times, to memories of her sons' laughter and love. Their presence, however, couldn't erase the pain of her son's absence. The empty seats at the table, the silence where there once was joy, were constant reminders of her profound loss. Naomi's heart was a battlefield of emotions where love and sorrow waged an unending war. In their faces she would have seen glimpses of Marlon and Chilean, heard echoes of their voices, felt pangs of both love and unbearable sorrow. Every smile, every gesture from Ruth and Orpah would have been a bittersweet reminder of the sons she had lost, a blend of cherished memories and heart-wrenching grief. Their Moabite heritage, once a potential point of contention, now faded into insignificance against the backdrop of her immense grief. The cultural and religious differences that might have once seemed so important were now trivial in the face of the overwhelming sorrow that bound them together. Their shared widowhood created a bond, a shared understanding of loss. This bond was forged in the fires of shared suffering, a deep connection that transcended cultural boundaries. They were three women united by the same cruel fate, each understanding the other's pain in a way that no one else could. They were united in their grief, each woman mourning the loss of a beloved husband. This unity in sorrow gave them strength, a collective resilience that helped them face each day. Their shared mourning was a silent conversation, a mutual acknowledgement of the depth of their loss. This shared experience, however, also highlighted their precarious situation. Without their husbands, they were vulnerable, their future uncertain. The ancient world was not kind to widows, and their shared grief was compounded by the harsh realities of their situation. Three widows alone in a foreign land with no one to provide for them, their future uncertain and bleak. They faced a world that offered little support, a society that often turned its back on those without male protectors. Yet, in their shared heartache, they found a fragile hope, a determination to survive against all odds.